The hidden power struggle between light and darkness intensifies after the gang boss's warning, creating an unseen tension that spreads through the city like wildfire. The moment the warning was delivered, the air shifted and invisible war began to unfold in the alleys, rooftops, and digital networks that connect every corner of this restless world. The forces of light, guided by divine purpose, started to stir in response, sensing that the balance they had protected for ages was once again under threat. Meanwhile, the dark forces, lurking behind political power, underground syndicates, and corrupted souls, saw this as a call to arms, an opportunity to strike before the Chosen One could fully awaken to their purpose. The gang boss's message was more than a warning, it was a signal that ancient enemies had recognized the return of something powerful, something capable of destroying everything they had built through manipulation, fear, and control. The Chosen One's existence had always been hidden beneath layers of confusion, isolation, and human struggle. But destiny never hides for long. Once the city's most feared gang leader spoke the words publicly, even if through encrypted means, it confirmed to both sides that the awakening had begun. The balance of spiritual power was shifting, and this shift could not remain secret any longer. People began to sense it unconsciously. Dreams became vivid, intuition grew stronger, strange coincidences began occurring everywhere. Those aligned with darkness started to feel exposed, their energy distorted by the rising frequency of truth surrounding the Chosen One. The warning, in its raw form, was a desperate attempt to contain what was already unstoppable. Behind closed doors, secret councils, cult leaders, and underground influencers began strategizing. They knew that the Chosen One carried not just spiritual authority but the power to reveal the invisible systems that had enslaved humanity in cycles of fear and dependency. The gang boss, though feared for his ruthlessness, was merely a vessel delivering the message of higher forces that used him. His network was infiltrated by energies far darker than crime, entities that thrived in chaos and deception. By warning the city, he was also sending a message to his masters, proving that he was aware of what was coming and trying to protect his dominion. However, what he didn't realize was that even his warning played into the divine plan. Every act of fear, every whisper of resistance, every hidden attempt to block destiny only fuels the inevitable rise of truth. The Chosen One, though unaware of the full magnitude of the situation, began to feel the shift internally. There were sleepless nights, sudden surges of energy, visions of unfamiliar places, and the sensation of being both hunted and protected at the same time. Their spiritual awakening was now entangled with real-world danger, as forces from both light and darkness tried to influence the next move. The city itself seemed to transform into a spiritual battlefield. Neon lights flickered with strange intensity, the air carried an unexplainable heaviness, and silence in the streets felt louder than gunfire. Each shadow seemed alive, each reflection in the mirror hinted at something beyond the physical realm. The balance between two worlds was dissolving, and the Chosen One stood unknowingly at the center of it all. The gang boss's warning had unintended consequences. Those loyal to him began to question their allegiance. Some felt fear, others curiosity, and a few began to wonder whether this Chosen One was a threat to their darkness or a savior from it. People who had once lived by the code of crime started to feel conscience stir within them, as if the light hidden inside every soul was being reawakened by the energy surrounding the Chosen One's rise. Even the boss himself started experiencing strange signs, repeating numbers, haunting dreams, and the presence of unseen watchers. Though he was a messenger of warning, he too became a victim of the spiritual conflict unfolding around him. Meanwhile, those connected to the divine began to gather silently. Empaths, prophets, healers, and awakened souls across the city felt the vibration of something monumental approaching. They recognized that this was not merely a human event but a cosmic confrontation playing out in earthly form. The forces of light did not respond with violence but with awareness. Meditation circles, prayer groups, and quiet warriors of spirit began anchoring their energy, holding space for the Chosen One's protection. Yet, they too understood that the warning meant time was short. The darker side would not stay idle. They would manipulate fear, use media, and twist perception to paint the chosen one as a threat to order, a familiar tactic used throughout history to suppress those who carry divine truth. The struggle was no longer hidden within spiritual realms alone. It was manifesting physically in the economy, in power structures, in relationships, and in the collective psyche of the city's inhabitants. Every soul could feel the push and pull between forces greater than themselves. Some dismissed it as paranoia, others as coincidence, but deep down, everyone sensed something was unfolding beyond their comprehension. Those aligned with darkness used distraction, addiction, and chaos to maintain control, while the forces of light continued to work quietly, knowing that even in the darkest storm, truth finds a way to shine. The gang boss's warning echoed beyond the city, spreading through networks and whispers. People began searching for answers, decoding the post, trying to understand who the chosen one was and why this warning mattered. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some claimed the chosen one was a threat, others believed they were humanity's last hope. The energy of duality reached its peak as confusion became the weapon of choice. In this unseen war, the greatest victory for darkness was not violence but distraction to keep people blind to the truth rising among them. Yet, every move against the chosen one only served to strengthen their purpose, to awaken them faster, to align them deeper with their divine calling. The struggle had entered its next phase, and neither side could retreat from what was now set into motion. The illegal post reveals secret alliances and exposes the chosen one's divine identity, sending shockwaves through both the physical and spiritual realms. It was not an ordinary message, but a coded transmission filled with layers of symbols, encrypted language, and subtle references that only those deeply connected to the unseen could understand. At first glance, it seemed like a typical underground communication, another mysterious piece of data circulating through the city's hidden networks. But those who had eyes to see recognized that the message contained ancient energy, carrying frequencies that resonated with higher consciousness. Embedded within the text were coordinates, dates, and phrases that pointed to the existence of the chosen one, a soul born under divine alignment, marked by destiny to dismantle structures built on deceit and illusion. Once the post went public, it could not be taken back. The veil between worlds had been pierced, and the truth began leaking into the minds of those sensitive enough to perceive it. The message traveled faster than expected, reaching corners of the internet untouched by light. Hidden communities began decoding it, and whispers turned into theories, theories into panic. The city's underground elites, secret spiritual orders, and even corrupted government factions realized that their long-kept secrets were being threatened. The chosen one was not merely a myth or spiritual archetype. The post confirmed that this being was alive, walking among them, and unknowingly activating frequencies that exposed lies. Within hours, the balance of power started to tilt. Some saw the illegal post as a betrayal, believing someone from within their dark circles had leaked information that was never meant to be public. Others understood that the divine plan had moved beyond human control, and nothing could stop the revelation from unfolding. In hidden rooms and encrypted calls, leaders of various underground alliances gathered to discuss what to do next. These alliances, formed through years of manipulation, trade, and silent warfare, suddenly found themselves vulnerable. The post hinted at names, coded references to locations, and patterns that connected gangs, corporations, and spiritual cults, all operating under one silent command, a network of darkness feeding on chaos. The revelation shattered their illusion of secrecy. Even though most citizens didn't understand the depth of the message, the energy it carried began affecting the collective consciousness. People started questioning systems, authorities, and long-standing beliefs. Something within them began to awaken, as if the post had triggered a dormant code within every soul that sought truth. The chosen one, meanwhile, felt an overwhelming pull, a sense that something sacred had been revealed without their consent. Dreams grew more vivid, intuition sharper, and strange synchronicities began aligning around every step they took. The illegal post was not just information being leaked, it was the divine mirror reflecting their own hidden essence. Their energy signature had become visible across realms, attracting both protectors and predators. Entities of light recognized the call and began guiding through signs, numbers, and symbols appearing everywhere. But forces of darkness, now aware of who and what they were dealing with, mobilized swiftly, preparing to intercept before the Chosen One could fully embody their purpose. As the post spread through the digital underworld, it started to shift the city's vibration. People in power began to act erratically, as if something deep within their subconscious was unraveling. The truth embedded in the message carried a frequency that disrupted falsehood. Those living in deception began to feel exposed, anxious, paranoid. The light within the message was silently dismantling the energetic grid that had long kept the city under control. It wasn't just a post, it was an awakening mechanism, designed to activate divine memory in those ready to receive it. The Chosen One's energy resonated with it naturally, amplifying its reach and pulling lost souls out of darkness through unseen channels. The illegal nature of the post made it even more powerful. Attempts to erase it only drew more attention. Every time a system tried to censor it, a copy resurfaced elsewhere, altered slightly but carrying the same core truth. It was as if the post had a life of its own, guided by a force greater than any human authority. Some called it divine intervention, others called it digital warfare. The truth was both. It existed at the intersection of technology and spirit, where coded frequencies replaced ancient scrolls and online portals served as modern temples of revelation. The message contained coordinates that corresponded to sacred geometry, aligning with old prophecies that spoke of the one who would awaken during an age of global confusion. As awareness spread, those spiritually attuned began piecing the clues together. Prophets, mystics, and awakened souls across different corners of the world recognized the vibration of destiny woven through the message. They saw the pattern repeating across timelines, the same warning, the same awakening, the same chaos preceding transformation. The Chosen One's divine identity was no longer hidden. Energy signatures don't lie, and those who could sense vibration felt it instantly. There was purity, power, and unshakable alignment with the higher realm radiating through their aura. The city, though unaware of the full scope, became a living organism reacting to the divine current moving through it. Dark alliances panicked, not because of the information alone, but because of what it symbolized. The post meant that the age of concealment was ending. The power built on secrecy could no longer sustain itself under the light of truth. Leaders began turning against one another, accusing each other of betrayal, while invisible forces of light continued weaving protection around the Chosen One. Even those who once mocked spiritual prophecy began to feel uneasy, sensing something otherworldly was taking place beyond their understanding. For the Chosen One, the exposure brought confusion and awakening all at once. There was fear, the realization that anonymity was gone, that their existence had become a symbol in a war they didn't ask to fight. Yet there was also clarity, a knowing that everything hidden must eventually rise to the surface for transformation to occur. The illegal post, though it came through dark channels, served divine purpose. It forced truth into the open, dismantled false structures, and ignited a chain of events that could no longer be reversed. The divine identity once buried in silence now stood revealed, not through prophecy or religion, but through the coded chaos of a world learning once again that nothing can remain hidden. When destiny calls, the city becomes a battlefield of fate, where the Chosen One must decide between vengeance and purpose. After the warning from the gang boss and the release of the illegal post, everything begins to unravel. The air thickens with tension, and the city itself feels alive, humming with invisible energy, torn between two opposing frequencies. Those who walk in light sense a surge of awakening coursing through their spirits, while those rooted in darkness feel their grip weakening, their illusions cracking under the weight of divine truth. The Chosen One stands in the center of it all, carrying both the burden and the blessing of divine responsibility. Every choice now holds weight, every move shifts the balance. The battle isn't just physical, it's spiritual, psychological, and cosmic all at once. What was once just a city of concrete and neon now becomes a reflection of heaven and hell colliding in human form. The streets begin to mirror the inner turmoil of those who dwell within them. The gang networks grow restless, unsure whether to defend their dark masters or abandon them. Strange phenomena start to unfold: lights flicker without cause, whispers echo in empty halls, animals act as if they can sense a presence larger than life itself. The Chosen One's energy radiates through everything, awakening dormant souls, exposing hidden truths, and shaking the foundations of power. But with this awakening comes conflict. Darkness refuses to surrender easily. It lashes out, manipulating minds, creating confusion, and attempting to twist the Chosen One's purpose into anger and revenge. The line between righteous justice and destructive vengeance becomes dangerously thin. Within the spiritual realm, unseen forces clash in silence. Angels of light move quietly through the chaos, anchoring energy and guiding lost souls toward awareness. Yet, shadows of deception creep closer, whispering temptations of power and control into the Chosen One's mind. They remind them of every betrayal, every wound, every injustice endured, feeding the fire of resentment that still lingers deep within. They promise that vengeance will bring balance, that destroying those who caused pain will bring peace. But the voice of divine wisdom gently counters, reminding that vengeance only binds the soul to the same darkness it seeks to defeat. The Chosen One feels trapped between two worlds, two destinies, two versions of themselves: one that rises as a beacon of light and another that falls into the same corruption they were chosen to overcome. The city's people begin to take sides without realizing why. Some are drawn toward chaos, seduced by the dark energy spreading through fear and violence. Others feel an unexplainable pull toward compassion, unity, and inner peace. Protests, riots, and acts of kindness all occur simultaneously, creating a surreal paradox where good and evil coexist in plain sight. The city becomes a spiritual mirror, reflecting the war inside every human heart. As above, so below; as within, so without. The Chosen One watches all of this unfold and begins to understand that this battle was never about control of the city itself, but about the transformation of its spirit. The darkness is not something to destroy but something to heal, to transmute through the power of awareness and love. Still, the temptation to retaliate grows stronger. The enemies that once hid in shadows now step into the light, trying to provoke reaction, to force the Chosen One into acts that would compromise their divine purpose. Old wounds reopen, and memories resurface: betrayal by those once trusted, abandonment by those once loved, humiliation from those who feared their power. The pain becomes almost unbearable, pushing the Chosen One to the edge. But in that very moment of breaking, something greater begins to awaken. A voice within whispers that this pain is not punishment but purification. The suffering isn't meant to destroy, but to strip away everything that isn't aligned with divine truth. As the nights grow darker, the city's energy becomes electric. Lightning storms appear without clouds, winds carry strange echoes, and time itself feels distorted. The Chosen One realizes that every storm outside mirrors the awakening inside. Through chaos, alignment is found. Through fear, courage is born. Through isolation, divine connection strengthens. The spiritual war rages on, not with swords or guns, but through vibration, intention, and consciousness. The Chosen One begins to see that the true victory lies not in conquering others but in mastering the self. When the inner war ends, the outer world must follow. The gang boss who started the chain of events begins to face his own downfall. The darkness he served turns against him, and he starts to see visions of light, flashes of truth that reveal the futility of his empire. Even he, once a vessel of shadow, begins to awaken. The illegal post that once spread fear now becomes a catalyst for collective transformation. People start decoding its deeper meaning, realizing that it was never about warning the city but preparing it. The Chosen One's identity was revealed not to endanger them, but to awaken others to their own divine potential. Every soul has a spark of the Chosen within, a piece of light waiting to rise from the ruins of fear. As the final confrontation draws near, the chosen one faces the ultimate decision to fight darkness with the same energy it wields or to transcend it through forgiveness, understanding, and divine will. They realize that vengeance would only repeat the cycle, while purpose would end it forever. In that moment of clarity, they choose purpose. The vibration of their soul expands beyond comprehension, sending waves of light that ripple through the city, purging shadows not by force but by truth. The gang networks collapse, the dark systems crumble, and even the corrupted hearts begin to soften as the frequency of love dissolves their illusions. The city breathes again, lighter, freer, renewed. The battle of fate was never about destruction but transformation. Through their choice, the chosen one restores balance not by conquering darkness, but by illuminating it. The city, once trapped in chaos, becomes a symbol of awakening, a reminder that even in the darkest hour, the light never disappears. It waits, patient and eternal, for the moment a single soul dares to remember who they truly are.